Independence broke the bonds of colonialism, freeing Nigeria to be sovereign, to practice free will and to determine its own fate. On October 1st, Nigeria added to its list of vital statistics a new status as the world's fourth largest democracy. Nigerians set a precedent in breaking from their colonial constitutional heritage, rejecting Britain's parliamentary form of democracy, which they had continued after their independence in 1960. Nigeria made that choice with characteristics pragmatism, where her new government looks remarkably familiar to an American. Since the inception of the Fourth Republic in 1999, it is observed that the prolonged adventure of the military into Nigerian government and politics had basic democratic tenets, which seems difficult for those saddled with the political power and responsibilities to respect or observe. We would have matured better democratically than what we have today, so people attribute this to the military hangover Nigeria was recovering from after the long period of military dictatorship between 1999 and today.
Welcome to another beautiful edition of AM Chart. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and it's the day that we talk politics. I'm sure that a lot of people are ready on the lookout, watching out for what we're discussing today. And today's edition promises to be interesting. We have two segments on today's edition. We will be discussing the neutrality of the electoral umpire, and then we'll be moving on to the crisis that has rocked the Ondo State House of Assembly and the ANAMBRA State House of Assembly for a while now. Has it seen any respite? Has it been resolved? A lot of things are still happening in those places, and I think it's about time that we bring people down here to talk about it and then have you, the viewers, contribute to such a discussion. So this morning we're going to be discussing first the neutrality of the electoral umpire, and by the electoral umpire we mean the Independent National Electoral Commission, which is INEC, and we'll have two guests in the studio this morning. We'll be starting with one of our guests to discuss the first topic. We're going to take this break. When we come back, we introduce the guest and then start the discussion. Please stay with us. Welcome back to AM Chat, and we've been talking about the neutrality of the electoral umpire. That's what we're discussing first this morning. We have with us in the studio Prince indeed, Prince Wiwa Fafura. Prince Wiwa Fafura is the ADC governorship candidate of Lagos State, and is a man of integrity, as his profile reads. And so we're going to be listening to him this morning, talking to us about why exactly it is important for the 2019 election to be successful, for INEC to be very, very neutral. You're welcome to today's show.
Yes, thank you for having me in your studio. As we're looking forward to the 2019 elections, we are working, both myself, my political party, which is ADC, first to sanitize negotiations on what they need to do. After we're able to do that, we are guided by rules. Elections are guided by rules and laws. Definitely. And we'll hope, and we're working with INEC to stick to those rules. If INEC can stick to those rules, then we can talk about neutrality.
During the election. Okay, let's go back to the beginning, to the very beginning. INEC 2015 was acclaimed all over by so many organizations as having done enough, or having tried their very best to ensure that they were totally neutral for the 2015 elections, at least that produced the current president of the country. What exactly is your view about that? Was INEC totally neutral during Professor Atari Jaga's period?
I wouldn't use the word neutral. I would use the word the best practice. Once you put in the best practice, then the neutrality comes in naturally. But when you don't put in the best practice, then there are challenges. What we have been happy about is there was a transition.
Okay.
The mentality that a government will continue to stay in power, especially in this part of the world, were able to get over that syndrome.
Exactly.
Which means the present administration at that time lost the election at the federal level.
Exactly.
And there was a transition and it was peaceful.
Yes.
So what we're hoping now is a continuity of that kind of process, that we will go to election and it won't be a do or die affair. It will be you're trying to serve the people first, and then if the people believe in you, the majority of the people now vote for you. That's what we're hoping we'll find in 2019.
In 2019 election. Now, 2019 election, coincidentally, INEC has conducted quite a number of elections this year. Let's go back to the most recent, which is the Kwara State Assembly elections, which they conducted very recently. That's about 2 weeks ago. And even though there were lots of accusations coming up before then, saying that the police were transporting money and all that for some particular political parties, INEC was not particularly accused of having done anything. They were there, they conducted their election, and then they left the place. And over time, we see that INEC has been trying so much to educate the people, educate the political party representatives as well, and educate the Vidri stakeholders meeting from place to place, trying to sensitize people and trying to educate people. So can we say that they have been doing enough to ensure that they prepare the people towards the election in order to avoid this do or die affair? Because usually this do or die affair has to do more with the political representatives that are going to be on ground on that day.
Now, I'm embarrassed when I look back at the by-elections we've done this year. Of course, I must clarify, I was not an eyewitness, I was not on location.
Okay.
But from what we've seen, there is a pattern. We all know there is vote buying. It became
very much acclaimed
yes.
in 2019.
Now, two, we'll begin to see interference in the process by the security agencies.
Okay.
Now, the neutrality by INEC is already compromised.
Yes,
because we are all stakeholders in election. When I say stakeholders, the electorate, the political class, INEC itself, and the security agencies. We're all supposed to work together for a free and fair elections, but we're not getting that now. And that's why almost every elections we've had this year has ended up in the courts.
Yes.
The reason is it might be glaring to the losers that I did not lose fairly. So if I didn't lose fairly, the only place I can get redress is in the courts. So what we're looking forward to in 2019 is we want to appeal to the security agencies that you'll be setting a good precedent if you let us conduct a free
and fair,
and then again, violence-free elections.
Now, it happens to become much more important for INEC to, do more in terms of the card readers and stuff, because it's been announced over time. The elections that were conducted this year, as you said, all the by-elections, we had some where they said the card readers were not working. We had some where they said it was intentional. And then we had that particular incident in OSUN where there was the announcement of a result, and it was a little bit over what was supposed to be there. By the time the electoral officer announced. It was different from what the person from the ward announced, and so there was that disparity, which brings to the question, who exactly made that mistake? But all the officials are on the staff of INEC, and we're talking about neutrality of the agency. So how do we ensure that the staff, the people who are going to be handling this responsibility are prepared? Is INEC doing anything currently to train their own staff and to ensure that they weed out the bad eggs? Because you really cannot say that the system through and through is totally good. You can't say that everybody in that system understands it and will not take money or will not misbehave. Is INEC doing anything? Is there a bus going around? Is INEC training? Because I know INEC is doing stakeholders meeting with political party representatives, meeting with stakeholders, going to churches and mosques to address the people. Are they training their own staff?
Now, let me. I've been in the process for 20 years, and let me categorically tell you something. Majority of the INEC staff, I'm not talking about the adult,
yes,
are very honest, decent Nigerians, and I'll tell you why. They are mostly career civil servants, and they understand that if I'm going to have a good retirement, I need to be
clean.
Now, the compromise comes from we, the political class.
Really?
Yes. Trying to use probably our positions in government to interfere in the outcome of an election. When the political class feels he is losing, he wants to use his political clout to interfere. So really what we're saying now is not a problem with the INEC staff or the adults. Don't forget the adult staffs are young men and women just living universities, want to contribute their own. At their level, it might look very minimal,
yes,
but they're doing the best. The problem is somebody giving money to thugs to go to a polling booth, remove a polling box, or throw away all the ballots in that box. So you can see that the interference and the neutrality is not something that you want to blame INEC for.
Yes.
It is we, the political class. And what I always tell people is, when you vote within the perimeters of the law, stay around and monitor your vote. Of course, which is probably at the polling booth level,
yes,
and maybe at the ward level. If there's an interference by the political class, usually the result does not tally. And then the long process of going to the courts. And you see mandates stolen, given back to the rightful owner.
Yes, and then you see the issue of rerun election happening, like in the case of OSUN, where there were lots of issues. The political thugs, as it were, went to a particular police station, disrupted the entire election. And INEC was, I think, very, very clear into saying that election didn't take place, cannot take place in this space. And so they had to go back there too. So the influence, particularly of the political class, what do we do to ensure that this does not happen? Because I'm looking at the Nigerian police force is usually on ground during the election. The INEC officials are usually on ground during elections. But when the political thugs begin their wahala, as it were, the so-called electorates disperse. That's what happens. Fear of this and that, fear of violence, and people start running helter-skelter. Even the INEC officials, the ad hoc staff that were there, would also run. Who is working, who is educating to ensure that the influence of the political class, the interference, does not affect the neutrality of INEC during this election?
You know, I always ask a question. Why do you want to win at all costs? Once the syndrome or your mentality is you want to win at all costs, you're never going to govern the people properly. Let us get that clear. Because you're stealing the people's mandate. That's the syndrome we have. I must win at all costs. It is wrong. The process is you campaign to the people. If the people are in sync with your programs, they vote for you. Why do you have to go and employ young men and women to disrupt the polling booth?
Yeah.
I will never tell any Nigerian who wants to vote, anywhere you see wahala, go home.
Exactly.
Because we all have names. And we all know when you rig an election, your name go around.
Yes.
So, but we'll continue to talk to our people, be vigilant. Be vigilant. And the media too has a role to play. Like what we're doing today is to keep talking about it. So that the political class can change and let us have a free and fair and violence-free election.
And then to not, it's very important that we do not allow INEC become a body that is, let me say, very, very watered down. People respected Professor Atairu Jega the same way people are looking forward to having such election in 2019 and then in subsequent elections. Now, people respect for the particular fact that, I remember during the time when we were counting the election for President Muhammadu Buhari's election, the man refused to stand up. All the while, throughout the period of counting the election, was it that he couldn't go to the loo, to the convenience to ease himself? But the man refused. It was more of a fact that he wanted to remain there, which means they're doing all they can. They're actually putting all their best into all of this. So I think it's important that the Nigerian police force as well share in the blame of whatever it is that is happening. When this violence strikes, is it that the police suddenly disappear? The other day in Moshon, they were announcing that a truck has parked, a bus has parked in a particular area, but the police were there. And there's curfew during election. How was the bus able to move all the way down to the police station when the people inside the bus were not electoral officers? How? That will tell you, is that a clean mandate? We must begin to emphasize that when you get power by all means, it does not satisfy the process. It means you want to govern the people to steal their resources. Let us not use any word. You want to govern them to steal our resources. It must be free, fair, and non-violent. Yes. When you put police or soldiers or even go and sew uniforms, this is wrong. It is entirely wrong. Let us go to the people, campaign to the people, tell them what we want to do for them. It's a service. And allow them to make their choice.
This is not, it's a service. I've been in politics 25 years. I've never had any appointment. I've never gotten any contract, because I see it as a payback to what I've enjoyed as a citizen of Nigeria and as a resident of Lagos. I want to give back what I have been given. It's not about my ego. It's about service. It's about serving the people. And that's what I will continue to preach.
Our people need to understand that service is the most, important part of the political journey. All right, we're going to take this very break, and when we come back, we're going to be looking at what INEC as a body, what the police force, and what politicians or political institutions in Nigeria need to do to get the 2019 election to be the election we all are praying for. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We were having a very interesting conversation here about the roots. All right, we're going to quickly take this particular part of the conversation before we move on to the next topic we're looking at this morning. We were talking about INEC. What exactly is your advice for INEC? I want us to address INEC, I want us to address the police force, and I want us to address the political umpires themselves. So, talking to INEC.
Okay. INEC, what I'll tell them is this. You are a commission and you are a public institution. At the back of your mind should be the best practice for everything you want to do. Let's take the card reader. The card reader, the architecture of the card reader has something to do with communications. Now, with my little knowledge about IT, you need to have one or two backups so that if one of your satellites or one of your telecommunication system breaks down, you have something to fall
like
back
a backup
on.
System.
Then, in all cases, let's assume that all fails.
Yes.
You must allow all voters that have voters card, that are on your manual sheet to vote. That's the second thing, is to make sure that there is no interference. I repeat again, no interference from the political class. And let me give you the reason why. In most cases, when you do the bidding of the political class, you get challenges in the court.
Yes.
Like your earlier presentation of what happened in Ekiti.
Yes.
It does not tally. Even if you go to court and maybe the court have a way of giving judgment on that issue, but it becomes something that Nigerians look at that, no, that election was not fair. So my advice to them is, one, best practice. Secondly, refuse an order or an inducement from anybody in the political class. And then all of us will appreciate you.
Yes.
And that's my advice
doing a good job.
My advice to
The Nigerian police force.
For the Nigerian police force, I think their challenges has to do with formation. At the polling booths, they're not supposed to carry arms. Now, what they do is in strategic locations, they have policemen that carry arms. The challenge I see is, if you don't have walkie-talkies or radios, let's say there is an outbreak in a particular polling booth, the response time from the strategic location of the police force is challenging to get into the polling booth. And by the time they get there, the thugs will have probably left. So we want them to put in, like I said, it's the best practice. Look at other countries that are doing good elections.
Yes.
Make sure you copy what they do so that we can have a violence-free election.
All right, we're going to go on another short break. When we come back, we're going to look at the next topic for today. I've had with me in the studio this morning Prince Muyiwa Fafowora. He's a Lagosian, but we know where the roots is. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, my sister.
We look forward to seeing you next week when the campaigns finally start.
Yes,
you're going to come here to
I'll be back
to unveil your manifesto, and let's talk politics.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be back. Please stay with us. AM chart, and we're going to be talking about the Ondo State and the Anambra State Assembly crisis. Why? A lot of things have happened all over the weeks. In Ondo State House of Assembly, apart from the fact that the speaker was impeached, there was the cry from four honorable members who said that they believe that their lives were in danger, and so they relocated from Ondo State as it were, and they moved to Oyo State. And as if that was not enough, still over the weeks, they've just been crying wolf, and they've been complaining, and they've been writing the Nigerian police force and saying that their lives were in danger, and they've been complaining, which means something is still happening. There's still something happening right there in our State Assembly. And then let's look at the Anambra crisis. We have a female speaker in the Anambra Assembly, and then one day she was removed from office, although they had allegations of misappropriation of funds and some other allegations. But there were disparity in the information gotten. Some people said she was removed, and the other people said the impeachment did not take place. So there are lots of issues as far as this is concerned. And right now, the Anambra State House of Assembly is under siege by the Nigerian police force, who locked it up to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order, whatever it is. But the Senate is also crying that they must open it up for legislative functions, as that particular assembly is very important. There is no crisis anymore, so the assembly should be opened up. Now we're going to be looking at all of the sides to this issue. Why exactly do we keep having crisis from House of Assembly to House of Assembly in all of these places? We have with us in the studio this morning Honorable Nini Fabiko.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, let's talk about Ondo State. Ondo State particularly because it's very close to where you come from. Yes, Ekiti, yes. And I believe that we have this crisis in these places. This unlearned people. These are people who are in a position of leadership, as it were. Impeaching one person and removing their speaker shouldn't have degenerated into an issue that has gone this far.
Can I shock you?
Yes, please.
People are reacting to the issue of impeachment as if the legislators have committed murder. I am going to align myself with the public, particularly when the impeachment has not conformed with the law, with the rules and regulations, with the order
of the Constitution
of the House. That is the area. But another thing is that impeachment in the House is an issue that they talk on a daily basis. I'm talking of the legislators.
Yes, definitely.
Because they see the speaker as someone, one among the equal.
Yes, maybe a privileged one among.
Just a privileged one.
Among the equal.
If you get to the House, it's the beginning of politics. You play the politics till the end of that session.
Wow.
So you cannot divert politics from the House of Assembly or National Assembly. That is where they play the game. So if they said they want to impeach the speaker, they will have their reasons. Whether reason or reasons. They must adduce one thing or the other. But the way the public will look at it as if it is not a thing they shouldn't have done, why not? They have the right to do it on the condition that they conform
with the law. With the dictates of the law.
Exactly.
Now, with all of the crisis, we people elected into position, respectable or people that were believed to be respectable individuals. Now, when it comes to the position of their lives are in danger, is it from the loyalists of the other party or of the other party? I mean, by the other party now, I mean, is it from the loyalist of the person they are fighting?
Really, it shouldn't have degenerated to that level. But I know with my experience in the house, there will always be crisis. You cannot do but have one. It now depends on the maturity of the officers,
There.
the leaders there, to maintain, to make it a daily routine. Because in the house, if you smile too much, they will adduce a reason for it. Yes. If your own dress stand out among others, you may find yourself in trouble. You have to explain. You understand? So if your car is more poached than others, they can just say you are too close to the governor or close to one commissioner or one minister or
So they will try to look for some.
So the speaker or the leadership of the house, we always judge the house by their mood. Yes, you must be able to judge them by their mood. Otherwise, by the time you know what is happening, you are gone.
Into chaos.
Yes.
And so all of these things, sometimes the reasons given, they seem like phony reasons. They permit me to say, they seem like phony reasons because
phony reasons.
No. What I mean by phony reasons, like very strange and not
funny reasons, are you?
Not really. What I mean is, they seem like fabricated reasons. Why? Because how can there not be issues yesterday and then suddenly this morning?
I've just told you one. They see it as their right.
To be
if you look at the constitution very well, under impeachment, the last section there, the last verse there says anything that they can use to be an impeachable offense. Anything. If you don't wear, it may be your dress, it may be the way you comport yourself. You must have offended them last week.
And something else.
Maybe you have not comported yourself. You know, anything they can do any reason. But in most cases, always a personal issue.
And then in this case, we're looking at Anambra State House of Assembly now. This is a woman.
What does it mean?
No, I'm just saying, this is a woman who is the Speaker of the House of Assembly. And then she had with about 17 people on her own side. 17? People on her side.
Okay.
Who were on her side, who stood with her when she was saying she's still the Speaker of the House and all that. But the men insisted, the guys on the other side insisted.
How many are they?
I think about 31. The truth is, whether she was impeached,
who is having the majority?
She claims she has the majority.
And let them go to the floor of the house. May I tell you that to impeach the speaker, you need the 2/3 of the house. But at the same time, the speaker can be suspended.
Without
simple majority. Yeah.
A simple majority.
Simple majority.
But she wasn't suspended. In this case, they said she was impeached and all that. And now
that's what I'm saying. If they have not conformed with the law, that it might be toying with illegality. You see. But if it is the issue of majority, as long as they conform with if they are able to get the 2/3 majority, yes, the speaker stand in bid. But otherwise, there are other ways they can do it. They can suspend the speaker. That's just a simple majority. But then, if you look at it critically, they always go for impeachment, and they need majority
to have it,
which is 2/3
of the house. Now,
so whoever is claiming that they have the two, you go to the floor of the house and slug it out. Yes.
Then let's talk about the misappropriation of funds. How much funds exactly does the Speaker of the House of Assembly have access to, such that such a person could be accused? Do they have funds just lying around?
Misappropriation of funds in the house. I think, so the best of my own experience in
In
the
the house, yes.
I had a finance committee when I was in the house. It is not easy like that, because before the speaker can spend any money, the clerk of the house must be aware of it. The speaker doesn't have the right to sign any check. Yes. So misappropriation can be in any form. Maybe he misdirected
The fund,
the clerk of the
okay,
house
into spending money on something
on the
else,
wrong
item. Okay.
You understand? That on its own as well is an impeachable offense. When you talk of front money in the house, they don't joke.
With money.
They don't joke with it. It's an impeachable offense.
Wow.
Once the word misappropriation has been established.
So this money is, the speaker does not actually have access to spend money by himself.
Misappropriation can come in any form. If you are to use the money to, if you have a suburb, that the suburb says you are using it to buy newspaper, and you are not using it to buy fuel, it's misappropriation of funds. Once they are not aware, mark you, they do more of the politicking at the parliamentary room. That's where they do much of the
Politicking.
Yeah. The one you are sitting on the floor there is more of a ceremonial. They must have rehearsed, they must have done all the necessary things the parliamentary
At the
level.
parliamentary level. And so when they now come to the floor of the house, what we see,
Some of them are just carrying out what the resolution
Sure.
floor of the house.
so that some caucus had met
You always
in most
see-
of these cases.
You always see caucus.
So some caucus had met, and then when they met, they now decided on this impeachment thing, which they just came to the floor of the house to come and act out.
It is not an impossible thing. We call it coup. Legislative coup.
Because it's quite interesting that we're having this crisis.
I was very fortunate. Once you see them, you are expecting some of them to smile to the chamber, and you see them in another form, then the speaker should be very careful.
Maybe something has happened.
Coup may be in the offing.
Okay, so it seems to be the system in the Nigerian political system.
That's what they call politics. That's the politics on its own.
On its own.
That's politics.
So Nigerians should expect more of it, as it were, as far as.
Once you
Assembly
call it
is
politics, you cannot dismiss it. You know what is happening at the national level?
Yes.
People said they will impeach
Senate President.
Senator Zaraki
Yes.
as soon as they resumed. And what they did first, as soon as they resumed, they went to the parliamentary meeting. By the time they
Came
back
out from the
they said, no, there is no need for
There's
us
no
to
need
impeach.
because they've had the meeting. Because there's been the inner
Those
caucus
have solved their problem at the
at the
parliamentary level.
parliamentary level.
You see,
Now let's talk.
this may not be too open to the public, and that's why you see some people reacting to the legislative business as if it's a thing they can just read on the newspaper and start acting on it. It's not as easy as that. Yes.
It goes beyond what we see on a daily basis.
Far
On a daily
beyond that.
basis.
Far beyond that.
Let's talk. Let's veer off a bit into this minimum wage issue. Now, these two states in question have states that are either owing salaries.
Which state?
Ondo State, are they not owing salaries? Have they finished paying?
I don't know. I don't know.
But really, we're talking about this minimum wage issue. The governors are saying that they cannot afford the money.
Some governors have it.
Yes, some governors.
So not on the state alone. Some governors
Yes,
have
a lot of governors, a whole lot of governors are saying they cannot afford it. And they itemize that they maybe Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano are the three of the few that can actually afford it. that are currently not owing salaries so they can afford to pay the new minimum wage. But our people are expectant. We're expectant. NLC is expectant that the president is going to do something about it. And the state governors are saying they can't afford it. Isn't it right for the House of Assembly in those states to come, because these are the people that elected you into office in the first place? Can they step in? The assembly now.
When you say assembly, are you talking of National Assembly?
No, I'm talking about the state assemblies.
To step in and enforce it?
To step in and maybe.
I don't think it's really as easy as that. On the issue of minimum wage, really, I have every reason to pity the workers. But when you're even talking of 30,000, how much is 30,000 that we're talking about? But when you look at the structure, the Nigerian structure, by the way, you will see that you will agree with some of these governors that some of them might even be there to just pay salary for 4 years and come back.
And not get any opportunity
without
to do
doing
anything.
Without doing anything. You see, how much is their IGR? Even the so-called salary we are talking of, they rely on the federal allocation. They rely on federal allocation. If anything happens to their allocation, it will affect most of the states. How many of them can generate revenue that will be enough for them to pay the salary? Except Lagos and 1 or 2 states. But at the same time, is 30,000 too much? No. It's not. You know, my own advice to the federal government or to the states and the National Assembly is to find a way of adjusting the structural issue, the way they allocate funds. Maybe the federal can shed some to the states.
So to give
room.
And to give them some buffer to be able to afford
that
it.
48% or 52% that they are taking, they can shed part
Maybe
of it to the states.
5%
to the states.
To be able to cater to.
And that's where the issue of restructuring comes in. That's where the restructuring comes in. You see, one of the governors said something which I agree with him. Where are we even looking at this issue of 30,000 as if all the states are equal? Is it not possible for Lagos State workers to agitate for their own salary increase? Lagos State can bid for 50,000 naira per month. And I am saying 30,000 naira in Lagos State is not the same with 30,000 naira in Ekiti.
Very true.
Or in Adamawa State or Enugu State.
Very true.
You understand? Is it not possible for the workers in Lagos State to sit down with the government and negotiate?
And say what we can earn, we need to earn more.
So is it not possible?
Because the cost of living in Lagos is actually higher.
To regulate the whole thing, so that all the states they will know what's coming out of this to the state boss, and know the limit that they can agitate for. You see, a state like Ekiti State, OSUN State, Jobe, and all those things, I don't know how they will cope with 30,000 naira.
Because the IGR has not increased and the allocation.
There is no idea which IGR. You know, this so-called IGR they are talking of in a state like Ekiti and Ondo State, Osun State.
No,
and
Ondo is better. Ondo is a oil producing state.
Well, I don't know how much that they are earning there. I don't know. I don't know the effect of this oil something that you are talking
at least
of.
they are better. But at least they are better than Osun.
If they can be owing 7-8 month salary, I don't know whether they are better off. I don't know.
But at least their allocation is higher.
When you look at the IGR coming out from all these states, you will know that it's nothing to write home about. And 70% of this IGR is from PAYE.
OSUN just declared IGR, OSUN just, although they said the IGR increased from 380 something million to 390 something million, thereabout. That they had
Per
a
month?
little bit of increment. I think it's for the year. Something.
Per month?
No.
It should be per month. 300 something million?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be per month.
Yes.
Go and check it. 75% of it is from PYE. Go and check it. That's the situation there. Some of these states, like Ekiti, I don't know what they are generating. I don't know how much they are generating there. You understand? But I know it's less, far less than 200 million naira. Or not more than 200 million naira in a month.
What about if the part of the things that the Labour Congress is actually proposing or planning to propose thereabout is the reduction of salaries of political office holders generally to cut costs?
You see some of these, so our people, the way all these Labour people talk about political office holders, I don't know what they really mean. If we want to be like them, why can't you join them? Why can't you join them? You will see all these political office holders, they even employ people. That's why you see them with all these PA, this, SA, this and that. They use it as well to employ people, to engage the people for the period that they are there.
And when they are done, the people become jobless.
Because they are jobless as well. And because the public officer is jobless as well.
So they all become jobless together.
Oh yes. Oh yes. That's why you see some state governors having more than 500, 600, 700 essays, PAs. There is not that they really love it, but they are using as an avenue to employ people.
Many people who have been depending on them since.
Yes, yes.
But is such a system profitable to a country like Nigeria?
We are in
especially?
we are in a, I don't know how to call this type of system we are running in Nigeria, but I know it's not a normal system. I can assure you of that. It's not a normal system.
Because that kind of system is not profitable to us, is it?
It's not profitable to individual. It's not profitable
to
even
governance.
to the governance and
it's
to
expensive.
Nigerians.
Is it not an expensive way of running government?
What is expensive?
That system of employing 700, 600 people to serve one person.
Do you know the multiplier effect of what I've just said?
Yes, I do.
We have some family that depends on that.
But
we have some,
but
they pay some salary. May I tell you that among these SA or PAs that we are talking of, some of them are doing they buy jam, they buy all these things for some people at the grassroots as well. They take care of people at the grassroots
as well.
Yes. You know the system, you know, if you know what is happening at the grassroots, you will know that the poverty is at the highest level in this country. You know, so that's it. So 30,000 is not much. But my advice is that let the federal government shed part of what they are having,
the allocation,
and give it to the
state.
states.
All right, that's the much we're going to take on this conversation this morning. As Honorable Fabiko has said, drama ensues wherever politicians are. And it becomes you can't divorce politicians from drama. It's part of the political business.
It's a trademark. So
it's the trademark of the political business, according to Honorable Fabiko this morning.
Anywhere you see them, they always behave like one. So
thank you so much for coming, sir. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. All right, as we begin to round up the show this morning, we're going to be taking a very short break. And when we come back from this break, I'd like to introduce you to a package, something that MITV and Star FM is putting up very soon. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Right, welcome back. And before we leave this morning, we're going to be looking at something that MITV and Star FM is putting up very soon. There's a Christmas fun fair that MITV and Star FM is putting together in conjunction with Meaty Express organization. Meaty Express is a support service organization, and they're coming together with Star FM and MITV to put together a Christmas fun fair. We're going to be putting up the promo very soon, and we're going to be inviting all parents to bring their children. Schools, bring your children. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting right at this fun fair. And you know what children are looking forward to at a Christmas fun fair? Bonfire. They have the rides, they have the trips, they have the Father Christmas, they have the Santa Claus, as you call it, which we in our time called Father Christmas, but we know that the children know that it's Santa Claus. Yeah, they have Santa Claus there, and they have lots of gifts, lots of music, lots of people and all that. So they have all of that and all of that they are looking forward to. All right, so we are seriously looking forward to having you in our studios. Come when we begin this promo. Kindly begin to watch out for the promo for this particular Christmas fun fair. It's going to be an exciting time, as I said earlier. And Star FM, MITV has a lot in store for you. Make sure you begin to plan towards it as soon as your children go on holiday. It is time to bring them to Star FM or bring them to MITV. MITV Star FM, is a conjunction word together. Bring them here for that particular fun fair. We will be looking forward to having you, and it promises to be a blast. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm going to become a child and just enter the bouncing castle and have a fun time with the kids and all that. But anyway, I'm just joking. All right, that's the much we're taking on AM Chats this morning. We're going to see you again bright and early tomorrow, when we will bring you some more topics. This is political period, so we're going to be looking more into the political scene. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, and please stay safe wherever you are. Stay safe and be vigilant. If there is something you notice that is out of place, kindly call the numbers that the Lagos State government has prepared for you if you're in Lagos. And if you're not, walk into the nearest police station close to you, wherever you are, all over Nigeria. My name is Tomisin. Have a beautiful morning. Bye-bye.
The 1959 short film titled Giant in the Sun introduced Africa as the continent of the future. The film predicted that it would be led by a self-governed Nigeria, as it would become a former colony of Great Britain the following year. The movie, highly acclaimed at the time, demonstrated how Nigeria distinguished itself as a leader in industrial, agricultural, commercial and social development.
For all her long historic past, Nigeria is a young country, growing, even as a child grows towards maturity, to full nationhood within the British Commonwealth. Modern skills and modern thought are playing an increasing part in life, and the foundations have been well laid by other, older hands. The people of northern Nigeria face the future with confidence, knowing that with the natural resources of their land and by their own efforts, they can justify the proud title of Giant in the Sun.
The tremendous advancements shown in the documentary never materialized. Now, well over 57 years later, the nation is yet to reach its full potential. The title Giant of Africa is however fitting for Nigeria. Though not the oldest or geographically largest country on the continent, the coastal nation nonetheless stands out, mostly for its high economic status and enormous population. Nigeria's robust economy, the world's 26th largest GDP in 2016, is based on an extensive list of agricultural resources and industries too numerous to mention. Yet, nearly all of Nigeria's wealth is based on its abundant oil reserves. Petroleum and petroleum products have been the primary source of income and government revenue for more than 47 years. This reality, incidentally, has caused the nation's other viable industries to suffer. Merchants pour their resources into the oil business, seeking the best return on investment. This leaves the nation's economy vulnerable due to volatile world oil prices. The economy is not the only giant thing in Nigeria. It is easily Africa's most populous nation at over 186 million. That's nearly twice the size of Africa's second largest and the seventh most populous nation in the world. However, Nigeria's true gigantic might lies in its latent and untapped strengths, which for decades have suffered from waste, neglect, and a total lack of will to change the status quo of oil dependence. In spite of the large amounts of foreign exchange it earns from crude oil resources, Nigeria has not yet scratched the surface of its true economic might. It can do so much more with the amazing resources it already has, and this is why the world looks upon Nigeria as a sleeping giant. The recent rebasing of the economy, setting Nigeria as Africa's largest economy while revealing the true economic position of Africa's largest nation, simultaneously recertified Nigeria as the nation in the top position for worst leadership in social welfare and opportunities for the people. With 70% of the nation's population living under $1 a day, economically factored, Nigeria has the poorest people of any nation in the world today. However, in the light of Nigeria's current oil-induced economic challenges, it appears the tranquilizing effects of petrodollars, which have kept the giant slumbering for decades, are starting to wear off. With the newfound determination by the Nigerian government to diversify the economy and the clamor by ordinary Nigerians to grow the naira, there is some hope the giant could see the sunrise in our lifetime. But beyond idle hope and wishful